Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to another episode of the Falcoholic Live. It's Kevin Knight and Adnan Ikic here to bring you another Falcons training camp recap here as we are getting you all the information you need to know about Sunday's practice in Flowery Branch. It was, I don't know, Adnan. I think it was the best one so far. It was exciting. The offense got on track. The defense had some spicy moments. I mean, really, it was just entertaining all the way around. Just a good practice.
Yeah, no, it was definitely I think the hottest one of the day, and I assume the heat sort of added to that tension that was in the air a little bit. Like obviously the big story of the day, we'll get to it, is the couple of skirmishes that happened throughout practice today, and then you know, I mean they gave the fans something because they normally go the first days they went walk through stretches, routes against air, and then they did the 11 on 11s, set twos versus ones, and then maybe a light little scrimmage of ones, twos. And they did that, follow that same pattern today. But then afterwards, they gave us some kicking battle. They gave us some red zone drills. They did some special team stuff. So yeah, they really packed it in, and I mean they gave all the fans that were, out there on the hill today something to actually, watch and view for.
Yeah, no, it was a good practice. We got to see a lot of stuff. I mean, I would say as like I was worried that we might get that sort of, after like the Saturday practice where they try to do a bunch, they try to do some team stuff, some extra stuff that we would be getting like a quieter like walkthrough heavy practice, but no, it wasn't the case. I mean, they obviously always do a good amount of walkthroughs to warm up and just to actually practice plays, but the team session was great. It was fun. We got a lot of first team, we got a lot of second team, and then we got a lot of a nice little red zone session at the end, which we didn't really get on Saturday. So it was good. It was a fun practice. We saw a lot, and yes, everyone, people are already asking about the quote unquote brawl. I don't know if I would like put it out on that level, like that. That seems like more aggressive than it was, but it was definitely a heated moment, not a hated moment. I saw. I wanted to post some kind of meme on that tweet that Adnan sent out with the classic typo there. At least you haven't. I don't think either one of us has made the Penix typo yet.
Ooh.
So yeah, that I know it's coming. And at some point it's gonna happen. So, but yeah, guys, we're gonna break down obviously the brawl. We're gonna get to Michael Penix's great day, some really impressive performances, some sacks. I mean, quite a
Yeah,
few
no,
sacks.
there were a lot of sacks today.
This I wonder if
And
this was like maybe the record for most sacks ever during a Falcons training camp practice. Like I feel like there were 6 or 7 maybe. So I mean, that's like as much as you would get in an entire like week, some years. So I'm excited. We're gonna get into all that stuff with you guys tonight. Obviously, if you got questions, all donations are going to training camp fund right now, so we appreciate that. Help cover travel expenses, all that fun stuff. Thank you everyone for joining us. Like and subscribe if you're having a good time. Let us know if you got questions, all that good stuff. Real quick, let me get you guys a word from our sponsor, folks. BetOnline continues to be your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball is, of course, going on. I know Love Dogs Avery has is wondering with their $5 donation. Thank you so much, appreciate that. If we're doing better than hoping that we're doing better than the Braves are doing right now, and I think yes, absolutely doing better than the Braves right now myself. Because I think the Braves are struggling a bit. Maybe
the
that's an
Braves are
understatement.
doing fine. They're one game out of that like second best lottery odds. I saw a tweet today, and they're in the running for that top overall pick right now. So
All
the
right.
Braves actually need to keep losing.
Yeah, so they're in that spot where now it's like, okay, we just need to keep losing. So I hope that they're successful in that quest. But if you don't want to bet on the Braves and you want to disconnect from that, BetOnline's got you covered with UFC, tennis, lots of NFL futures available now. They've got more ways than ever to stay on in the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting options. And of course, they've also got the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas style games, including poker, blackjack, live slots, all that fun stuff. So, what are you waiting for, folks? Head on over to that website today. It's betonline.ag. Put in our promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to get access to the latest promotions and take advantage of their industry leading VIP program with level up bonuses, weekly cash boosts, other loyalty related stuff, check it out. Bet Online. The game starts here. All right, Adnan. Well, thanks again, Avery, for the donation. We appreciate you. So let's talk about James Pearce Jr. and the brawl. It was I mean, they didn't like. I don't think punches were thrown, but a helmet came off. Some heated words were exchanged, and it happened two plays in a row. And James Pearce was going after multiple offensive linemen. I think like three of the five starters, I think he succeeded in pissing off today. So I mean that's kind of an achievement. So shout out to James Pearce, and shout out to the offensive line for not taking any shit either. So
Yeah, like I have no idea what sort of set it off. I mean, I'm assuming it was James Pearce doing something that the offensive line took some liberties about. Like I don't know. It can't have been just a one play type thing. It had to have been something where, maybe he was doing some extracurriculars like after the play, like multiple times, and then I guess Ryan Newsel had enough of it. This is just me speculating. I didn't see exactly like what set it because you're too busy watching the play, and then the play ends, and all of a sudden, oh, there's guys getting in each other's faces like right in front of you. Yeah, it was at first Newsel and James Pearce, and then you had Leonard Floyd, who really sort of had James Pearce's back both times. He was really getting involved in there. Everyone but the DBs and wide receivers, like all the big guys, sort of just were going after each other. Each guy representing his side of the ball. Then after Ryan Newsel was done, it was it went up a notch with Matthew Bergeron and James Pearce. Matthew Bergeron looked even more pissed. I mean, they
yeah,
started like putting hands on each other. Matthew Bergeron's helmet came off. Bergeron said some words to James Pearce, and that was sort of it there. And like the coaches were yelling at them, telling them to stop wasting time. They're like wasting time like in practice. Very next play it ended up being McGarry and James Pearce, and I guess Caleb McGarry was pissed off at something that James Pearce did. They put hands on one another. I think I don't know if there was like a shove, but it was aggressive.
yeah,
And then again, Leonard Floyd once again comes in, defends the rookie. Again, there's a skirmish. The guys are like in each other's faces. After that 11-on-11 period was done, I saw Raheem Morris group everyone together, like all the guys, offense and defense, and I didn't hear exactly what he was telling them because he was like in the middle of everyone, like at midfield, and probably told them something along the lines of they need to keep their heads and they need to not like do that. Jeff Ulbrich afterwards wasn't too happy about it. Ulbrich talked about how they are trying to change the culture of the defense, how the violence is a part of it. They want to be aggressive, but he did say that today it went too far. And I know, I get it. I see all the fans are celebrating, this on Twitter, and everyone's like very, very stoked, very pumped about it. But the coaches don't like this. Like most of the time, for the most part, the coaches don't want their guys like brawling with each other. Not like in camp, like against their own teammates. But I mean, it's just one of those things. These guys have been seeing each other for multiple days. I mean, it is only day 3 of camp. It's not like it's week 2 or week 3, but sometimes you sort of just get tired of it, seeing the same guys going against. I mean, it's a violent game. There's a lot of testosterone flowing. They're colliding with each other. Someone may be, putting in, I don't want to say a cheap shot, but like later hit, and then some guy doesn't like that. One guy takes liberties. Maybe, I mean, they're obviously talking a lot of shit out there, and then anything could sort of happen to trigger it, to set it off. And today was sort of a boiling point.
yeah, yeah. And it's like, I think if it had ended after like the first little skirmish, they probably wouldn't have like been too upset. It's like, okay, like we're trying to stoke this like edge, but like when you're trying to get an edge, you do have to be careful to not make it too sharp because you don't want to cut yourself, right? You don't want to cut your own teammates, but it kind of comes with the territory, and I think this is part of it is that they're trying to bring in guys that are, not going to take shit. And I respect that, like, both sides were getting involved too. It wasn't a one-sided thing. And this was about halfway through practice, I'd say, and there wasn't, it did cool down like late. Like, we didn't get any issues during the final red zone period or anything, but you just have to, yeah, I mean, a lot of people said it was extremely hot, like, and that does not help with tempers. When they say tempers flare, I mean, if it's hot as hell outside and you've been out there sweating for 90 minutes already, like, I mean, that does not help things. So, um,
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
it,
I almost went up to Raimondi at one point out
yeah,
there. Yeah, no, no,
yeah,
I'm kidding. I love
yeah. I mean,
Mark.
I'd be careful. He's been watching, like, he watches a lot of wrestling, so he knows some maneuvers, I'm sure. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say Mark is he's the guy that was covering UFC, covering wrestling. I mean, his wife is a fighter, like a professional like fighter. So I think that's the last guy in the media, in the
yeah,
Falcons media room, that anyone wants to be going after. But yeah, shout out to friend of the show, Mark Raimondi. But yeah, no, it's it was hot. Like, there was not a cloud in the sky. It was very, the heat did not help, and the fact that it's been so hot every single day did not help. And it's just it's that unforgiving late Georgia sun, or late July Georgia sun, and it's that definitely sort of, tempers are definitely flaring. Like, they were definitely flaring. But I feel like Jeff Ulbrich said also about Pearce. He said this is going to be a good learning experience for him. He said he likes that Pearce went back into practice mode after that, because I mean, he's right. Some guys, they lose their head a little bit and they can't really focus on the next play, and the adrenaline's pumping, their hearts are racing. They just like can't really focus on like what's going on. But Pearce ended up, I think Pearce ended up being more impactful after that than he was before, where he was getting a little bit more pressure like on the quarterback later on. He had that tip of Kirk Cousins' pass in the 2-on-2 scrimmage period. And I think Kirk Cousins went over to him and congratulated him. He gave him his props for that tip ball. But yeah, I mean, it's a good sign from James Pearce.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I I really like, I respect the way the coaching staff handled it. Like, they didn't too aggressively try to break it up or get on guys. And I saw, like, later in practice, I think it was Nate Ollie first, just kind of put his hand on, Pierce's shoulder and just kind of talked to him as they were cooling down. And then Ulbrich came over and did something similar. That it's a difficult thing to titrate, because you're trying to develop this culture. Like Ulbrich said, you're trying. It's not a secret to say this, right? Like, the Falcons have been known as kind of a soft defense for years now. I mean, Ryan Nielsen did work to try to change that narrative, but it went right back to it with Jimmy Lake. And it's tough to develop that culture, and you do have to push guys and sort of cultivate that edge, but you have to be careful not to go too far, because you don't want to go the other direction into undisciplined personal fouls, like stuff
Yeah,
that's going to impact you on game day. So it's
yeah, and that's
difficult to control.
yeah, and that's something from the coaches. It is, and Ulbrich mentioned it. It's towing that line a little bit. It's like, just getting to the line but not crossing it. And he says today, the line was crossed. That was crossing the line. It was going too far. But yeah, I mean, on game day, if you're over there, pushing, shoving, taking other players' helmets out, that's a 15-yard penalty. And that could really, really hurt you in a real game. And that's the last thing these coaches want.
Yeah, exactly. So I respect what they're trying to do, and I think it's clearly producing some results. But we do have to kind of monitor things, and make sure everything stays under control going forward, and they don't get too much edge. But, like, in addition to the scuffle, James Pearce, I thought had some great reps. I think there was a play that the Falcons basically, like, in these sessions, for the most part, unless it's like an absolutely obvious sack, they won't blow the play dead. They want the quarterbacks to throw the ball. They want the DBs and the receivers to still have to fight. I thought Pierce had a sack on one of, I think it was Kirk Cousins, or maybe it was even Penix's touchdowns. And, it looked maybe like it was hard for me to see. I know you had a better angle on it from where you were standing, where it was really hard for me to tell if he actually got pushed all the way around the arc or like if he was pulling up, because you can't touch the quarterback, guys. Like if you touch the quarterback, other than just you can tap him maybe a little bit on the shoulder, but that's about it. Like if you run into the quarterback, they're gonna get you. Like, oh, okay, we lost my camera. Either way, I'm still here, guys. So don't touch the quarterback, but either way, he was definitely putting some pressure on the offensive line. I thought he looked good throughout. I liked that he was chirping a bit, and it looks like to me like he's really trying to make himself known here, right? Like he's not gonna tolerate a sort of quiet training camp. Like this is James Pearce is here to prove himself, and I think he wants to be in that first second team unit sooner rather than later, and I think today's going to help his case. So
Yeah. I mean, you like to see that from the rookie because how many players are just sort of whatever about it, and how many players will go out there and just have that quiet training camp where they just sort of let the days pass them by. And I mean, to this point, Pierce and Jalen Walker, the first couple days, we've been talking about, all right, they're with the ones, they're with the twos. That's most of the conversation that's been around those two guys of like, all right, which unit are they like lining up with? And I mean, you've been out there, I've been out there. I haven't seen them really, make too much of an impact on the field on days 1 and 2. Whereas today, Pierce was, he was, applying, a lot more pressure. And, that play against Cousins that I mentioned where he got into the backfield, jumped up and did exactly what you're supposed to, where Cousins was loading up for a screen pass to float it over and he bats it down. And then, the play on the Chris Blair touchdown, I don't think that was a sack. It looked like he was like driven all the way
okay,
around, and
yeah,
I'm confident in that because I watched the replay of it out
yeah,
also.
and you were on the sideline too, so you had a better angle on
Yeah,
it.
they had the like replays, like the replay board behind us too, where everyone was like, "All right, we got to see that again." And I mean, that wasn't a lack of Pierce's effort or anything that Pierce did wrong. That was just a hell of a play by Michael Penix, just like stepping up in between two guys that were like converging or like going around. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall, like today was Pierce's best day, and you do sort of like it a little bit of like, all right, he's getting in guys' face. He's not scared of these veteran offensive linemen. He doesn't care that Caleb McGarry has been here with the Falcons for 7 years. He doesn't care that Matthew Bergeron has been here for 2 or 3 years. Like he doesn't care. Like he is trying to make his presence felt, and that's the first step in being great is sort of wanting it. And I mean, yeah, Ulbrich touched on that too. He said that Pierce is trying to make an impact on everyone out there. And yeah, I mean, today was his day. Obviously, look, we're 25 minutes into the show, and we've spoken specifically about only about James Pearce so far, and we haven't talked about Walker because Jalen Walker was not out there. He did not practice at all. Did not have his helmet on. Ulbrich said afterwards, we asked him. Today was a great day to have Ulbrich in the
Yeah,
press
it's perfect.
conference.
Yeah,
Sometimes it just like works out like perfectly, but yeah, Ulbrich did give an update. He said it was a cryptic update. He said that Walker was working on his body. I don't know what that means. Nobody knows what that means.
yeah, that's
But,
okay. Yeah,
yeah, like thanks, coach. But like he didn't sound concerned at all. He said he'll be all right. I'll be a little more worried if Walker's not out there on Tuesday because tomorrow's an off day, and then it's like, all right, like tell us why he's like missing practice. But I would expect Walker out there on Tuesday. But yeah, no, today was definitely Pierce. I think I tweeted it out in my like recap. Today, James Pearce was the main character of practice, for better or worse. Like today was his day.
yeah, yeah. It was great to see. Like I just you never like you never want rookies to be too quiet, but you also don't want to put unrealistic expectations on them. And what's up, George? Welcome, welcome in. I'm glad you could make it. I know George has been vacationing. Sounds like, so that's always nice.
No, no,
Um,
yeah, I've
Maybe
missed.
vacationing, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
I've noticed he hasn't. I haven't seen George on one of the shows in a little bit. I mean, I was vacationing for a couple of weeks too, so maybe he was there, but definitely the first time I've seen him at the camp once. So yeah, welcome, George. Good to see you
yeah,
again.
good to see you, man. Yeah, but it's great to see Pierce. I hope obviously we'll see more of Jalen Walker soon too. I think today was they definitely gave these guys more of an opportunity to make their mark in the team session and stuff like that. So I think it would have been really nice to see Jalen Walker today as well. But good start, and I'm just glad that our rookies are out there making plays, especially young pass rushers. That's music to my ears. But speaking of young pass rushers, Ruka I thought had one of the best days of anyone today. Just you can see the athleticism and the hand usage. Like he got clean into the backfield for a sack, and he's showing me what I need to see so far, Adnan. Like I'm very very happy with what we've seen so far from Ruka.
I am too. Like Rook, what we like Olbrick touched on Rook. Like he used a lot of very very positive adjectives when describing Rook. He said explosive, strong, fast, and I mean I know like a little bit. He's always going to talk up the guys, little coach speak whatever. But it's like I think he's just like spot on when it comes to Rook because he had a game breaking sack today where he just like rushed up the middle and he clearly got to Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins had the touchdown pass to Nick Nash because they like you mentioned they continued to let the play go. I didn't even count that in my stats for Cousins today, just because it was like Rook got him and then like 2 or 3 seconds later Cousins throws the pass. Like he got to him so quickly. And yesterday he had a sack like driving the defender, the backup guard, driving past him up the middle. So I'm really happy that we're talking about Rook in such a positive way because I'd be slightly worried just given the fact that we really really need Rook to be that game breaker and to not just be an average player. We need him to be excellent this year, or at least very good. I mean, we've talked about him. I continue to say that he's going to be the most important player on defense. I would be a little worried, or I would have been a little worried if we were sitting here right now doing the show, not having mentioned Rook's name at all 3 days in, where it's the days are just sort of passively going by him, and he's not really making an impact. But no, you feel Rook's presence and you feel his impact up the middle, and that's the Falcons are going to need every bit of it this season.
Yeah, it's great to see that. I thought David Onyemata had a standout day today as well. He was making some plays. I do agree with Adnan's take that like we can't like expect Onyemata to be able to play like 100% of the snaps at nose tackle. So I do think considering that I mean even though we've seen a little bit more 4-3 mixed in, I'd still say it's like at least 70% 3-4 looks. Maybe I mean at most 65-35, but if they're gonna play that much 3-4, they're gonna need somebody else to rotate with Rook or not Rook, Onyemata, and I think Kentavious Street is the backup right now, but again he's also not like a traditional 3-4 nose tackle, so I'm curious what's going on there. But the starters I think have all looked good. I think Morgan Fox has been pretty quiet. He's a guy that I think is gonna benefit from the pads coming on and being able to use his hands more and benefit from the contact, but. I think ultimately, we saw Brandon Dorless getting some run with the ones
Yeah,
today,
well,
which is nice to see. So,
in the 3-4, I made a note of it. I think I may have made a note of it in my other notes today. Under my article. By the way, just plugging the article today and plugging the article every day. Check out the Falcons training camp news and notes articles. Those go up every day after practice. So you have a chance to really read through the in-depth notes and thoughts from each practice. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. I'm looking at it. I did not make that note. I made a note of it personally. But yeah, Brandon Dorlus, he's having to get some run with the ones at that interior defensive end position in the 3-4. So I definitely think that the, they have a plan for Brandon Dorlus. They have a plan for him. When they do deploy in that 4-3. Um, and I mean, we know Brandon Dorlus's strength coming out of the draft a couple of years ago was that pressure from the interior. I think he was one of the most successful players in his draft class when it comes to getting pressure on the quarterback and having that come from the interior. I think Dorlus is going to be a perfect player in that 3-4. I don't think there is too like I don't know if the Falcons have a better personnel for the 3-4 versus the 4-3. I think the 4-3 may be a little. They may have the personnel for the 4-3 personally, but I think Dorlus is one of those players who would benefit greatly from more of those 3-4 looks.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because they did have him mostly playing that sort of in like defensive end, like 3-4 defensive end role. I did see him get some run as like the big end out at 5 Tech when they were doing some 4-3 stuff, but and I think he got bumped up because Zach Harrison wasn't out there, and we haven't heard anything about Harrison, but notably I'll say the Falcons have just kind of like rotated some guys out of practice. Mostly I would say like defensive linemen and stuff like that, like Jalen Walker was absent today, and then like Caleb McGarry was out yesterday, and he was back today. There doesn't seem to be any actual like injury necessarily or something like that, so they're just maybe rotating some guys in and out. So we'll see. We'll see how that develops. But yeah, I mean, I like to see Dorlus out there. We've gotten to see Rook out there. We've gotten to see, I think, what we needed to see from these young guys to at least give us some hope that they can be depended on maybe this year because we really needed them. So that's nice to see. In terms of like other front seven stuff, Braylon Trice still making his way up the depth chart, but pretty much relegated to the third team. Didn't really see him in any of the first and second team stuff. Khalid Kareem still had, I don't think it was as flashy necessarily as yesterday, but still very good. So I think Khalid Kareem is legit. Like, this isn't beating up the third team, right? This is like he's playing against the starters and looking good. So
Khalid Kareem had I counted it as a sack. Like he came like around, like to the left. I think he got the sack on Cousins. I don't know if they counted it or not, but I think he certainly would have gotten there in like a real game. But yeah, I mean, he maneuvered, off the left side just so elegantly. It was just like it really was a sight to see. And I mean, Khalid Kareem, 2 sacks yesterday, another sack today. Like he's a legit player right now, and it is fascinating. Like I'm reading a lot of fan takes, and I mean I don't blame anyone for not really knowing Khalid Kareem coming into camp. He's not a household name, but it is like entertaining seeing people being like, oh, who's Khalid Kareem and how is he like playing so well? But yeah, I mean, pleasant surprise. I think Khalid Kareem is one of the surprises of camp 3 days in, and I think he is sort of firmly entrenching himself on that roster bubble in a good way. And I mean, he's definitely, yeah, I mean, I think right now he's definitely a player for that 53-man roster. And so far he deserves it.
yeah, no, I agree. And I know we had a question like when did they like draft him? They just picked him up. He was a veteran free agent that they brought in on the practice squad last year, like mid-season. And just to guide, like, part of the Terry Fontenot's sort of churning of the practice squad and the roster, he played less than 100 snaps total last year for the Falcons. But when he did play, like, he was like making some plays against the run and looked like a solid contributor. So that was nice to see. And I was like, okay, well, maybe that means he'll have a chance in camp. And not only does he have a chance in camp, like obviously they kind of started him off with the ones and twos. I think like out of respect for like being with the team last year, that's what the team typically does. But I think it was kind of like, all right, well, how long is that going to last? Considering we have Jalen Walker and James Pearce. But I mean, it's not only has it like lasted, it's like, oh no, he's played well. Like, so this isn't like a joke. This isn't like we're just messing around making the young guys earn it. It's legit. Like I think we now have to like I'm gonna have Clay Cream on my 53-man roster. I think it would be irresponsible to leave him off at this point. I mean, and obviously things can change, but I mean, I was expecting, like right now, I think he would make the roster over Braylon Trice. I think that's where we're sitting at this very moment. So obviously that's very early, guys. We got 3 whole preseason games and a bunch more camp. But right now, I think he's clearly playing over Braylon Trice. So,
yeah. And I mean, look, he's out there like he's getting rotation with the first team, no matter if it's a 3-4 or a 4-3. On the 3-4, he's at in that 9 tech on that exterior edge. I mean, I saw him. I think opposite. I think it was Arnold Ebikadian walkthroughs a little bit in there during the. I mean, during walkthroughs they rotate like they would in a real game.
yeah.
Like they rotate out everyone. It's really hard to really get a gauge of like, all right, these are the starters. These guys aren't. But then when they shifted to a 4-3, Khalid Kareem was in that traditional defensive end look. So they definitely seem to like him like off the edge, given the fact that they're rotating him in with the ones. And I mean, he's earned it. Like he's earned it so far. It's been. I mean, this is sort of what training camp's all about. Some of those guys who maybe you weren't expecting to make the roster, playing their asses off and earning that spot that maybe you weren't expecting. And I mean, Khalid Kareem, he's a guy. He was drafted 5 years ago. He was drafted like by the Cincinnati Bengals out of the University of Notre Dame. So yeah, he's not a new guy. He's 27 years old. So a veteran who's been around the NFL for a little bit. He's been around Flowery Branch. He's been around the Falcons, being signed last year. But yeah, he's definitely. The fact that on day 3 we've mentioned his name so far is a really good sign for him.
Yeah. So shout out to Khalid Kareem, who I think is not only like a legitimate raw like practice squad. Like I think if he didn't make the practice squad at minimum, I would be shocked. But I think he's the favorite for the last or even like one of the roster spots at edge right now. So we'll see how that develops over the course of camp, but he's been very impressive so far. Probably the biggest surprise because Lamar Jackson, the corner, was also very surprising, probably more surprising. But Lamar Jackson, well, I think he's been fine, which is kind of more what you would expect when he's playing against like the first and second string players. Khalid Kareem has been like legitimately good, like really impressive every day. So he's a name to circle and really pay attention to over the preseason, maybe to the detriment of some of these guys that are fighting for a roster spot. So probably a positive for the team considering how good he looks, but might force some difficult decisions for Atlanta. Real quick, want to get to some donations. Thank you guys so much. Ken Baller with the $10. Thanks for the coverage, guys. Great job. Ken, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for your donation, man. We got Alex Foster with the $5 saying, if the violence leads to a better defense while this team is united, then great. As long as we keep these guys away from Mario Kart, we'll be good. Yeah, that Mario Kart and Mario Party, like underrated rage bait games, let's be honest. Especially Mario Party. But yeah, they got to hone it in. But I do like the edge that we're seeing so far. We got NC Hammer, our beloved moderator with the $5. Thank you, NC. Says, how we doing, fellas? Hope y'all have been good. And his question is Michael Penix bringing out the ghost of Vic at all yet? How would you say our draft picks are doing? I mean, Penix, to me, like, Vic is just so synonymous with, like, scrambling. And you can tell, like, Penix is not really a scrambler. He does, like, he's capable of running sometimes. But I wouldn't say he reminds me of Vic. He does, like, remind me of Vic in that I think he's a flashy and exciting playmaker that, and Penix is going to do it almost entirely through the air, whereas Vic was just as likely to blast you on the ground. But that's the one comparison I would draw, is that I think they're both electric playmakers that will probably be, like, my hope is that what Vic was to me, which was like the guy who got me into the Falcons really, with just how exciting he was. I think hopefully Penix can be that for a new generation of Falcons fans, where he's that electric, exciting talent that everyone's talking about, um, that will just kind of bring about a new era of Falcons fans. That's my hope for him. So, um, other draft picks, yeah, I mean James Pearce, so far two thumbs up, but I mean all the other draft picks, honestly, I mean Xavier Watts had to take another day with the third string group, but I wouldn't really read into that. So we didn't get to see him a ton, but Billy Bowman has been really solid. He's been mixing in. Um, you know, uh, I think this draft class has potential to be really good. But what do you think so far about the other rookies, Adnan?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, we're mostly just like looking at, all right, are they with the ones, are they with the twos sort of thing. Watts, we saw him get a lot of run next to Jesse Bates as a starter yesterday. Today, they sort of went back to Jordan Fuller. I feel like D. Alford got more run with the starters today, versus Billy Bowman. But yeah, I mean, look, they've been all right. Like nothing sort of eye popping. I don't think I've seen either Watts or Bowman like defend a pass or anything like that. And yeah, I'm not saying that patronizingly. Like there's very few like passes defended like per game, um, or per training. So it's like it's a big deal when someone can like bat it down. That's why it was like such a big deal when we saw Lamar Jackson like doing it on day one, like having that tight coverage multiple times. But yeah, I mean, look, the team obviously has a plan for both of those guys. Obviously, we talked extensively about Pierce, Jalen Walker. Nothing really needs to be said about the 15th overall pick in the draft and the sort of leader of this draft class for the Falcons. But yeah, I mean, I feel like all of those guys are the team has a plan for all of those guys to make an impact in year one, maybe even come week one, where they're all sort of those starters. But yeah, so far they seem to be bringing those guys along, not super slowly, not super fast, but you can tell that they have a plan. You can tell that the team's sort of grooming those guys to make an impact right away.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm excited about it. Um, it's not a problem with my camera, guys. I'm pretty sure it's that my USB hub, when I get four things plugged into it, it tends to overheat and just like the camera doesn't disconnect. Like on my camera software, I can see the feed, but for whatever reason, the data isn't getting passed through like right to OBS. Um, so I'm gonna plug it directly into my laptop, and we'll see if that helps. But yeah, when it's really hot, like I turned up the fan in here. The room itself isn't too bad, but yeah, this like laptop is wonderful for travel, but it gets really hot when I have this much stuff plugged into it. Which if you were at the live show, you saw firsthand how many things are plugged into this laptop. It gets pretty warm, and when it gets too warm, some stuff sometimes will have little weird issues. But no, the camera itself, no complaints. But for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to like OBS when it gets too hot. But my cousin slid another USB hub under the door, so just in case we have to take the nuclear option here. Um, we got Falcon 5897, $5 for the new camera fund. Well, maybe I should get one of those like super fancy laptop coolers. Like I've seen those around where you like put your laptop on top of it or whatever. So maybe we'll explore that as well. Uh, but yeah, great question, NC. Thanks for asking. And yeah, I'm excited about these rookies too. Is the short answer. All right, we got George Costanza. Welcome back, George. Excited to have you back. He says, I truly think this offense is going to be something to behold. Wondering if we could even be an '07 Patriots level. We have weapons everywhere. If we look anywhere like the crap that we did last year, we need to get Zach Robinson out of here in a hurry. We need 35 points per game plus. Well, if they're 35 points per game plus, then that would be absurd, in a good way. But yeah, I mean, the expectations I think are high. Like there's no doubt about that. But I think I will, maybe stop the expectations a little bit below '07 Patriots personally. But on what are your expectations? You think 35 points per game is reasonable, or
You can always count on George to drive that train of optimism, into no disrespect at all, Georgia, but into a little bit of delusion. I mean, we've all been there. Yeah, I mean, those seven Patriots are arguably what the greatest offense of all time. 35 points per game would be, I mean, that would shatter many, many records. I would absolutely stop short. Like, let's put up 27 points a game. Like, I'd be very happy with that. 27, 28 points a game. That would be the 4 touchdowns a game. Like, are you kidding me? Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, 07 pay. That's if they reach those heights, then we don't really have to worry about are they going to win the division or not. At that point, I think they're winning a comfortable 13, 14 games this year.
Yeah, that's just it's really been the inconsistency of the offense because even last year, like when they were playing well, the points per game was in a pretty good place. It's just, of course, they had that slump in the middle of the season that cost them the year. So hopefully they can figure out a way to get past that and bring some more consistency, and figure out a way to win, at least 9 games. I think 10 is the what I would be hoping to see, but we'll see how that develops. But speaking of, we haven't talked about the offense at all. This is a great segue into that. The offense was like arguably more impressive today than the defense, even though I think the defense had a good day. Like Michael Penix in particular, I thought had his sharpest day. The receivers did not let him down today, notably. And I mean, great deep shot to Ray, who had plenty of room to get some extra yards after catch. He did fumble it. I think he was just so excited to get the ball. We need to get these. I think actually, like maybe this is an unpopular take, but like I think guys in camp like need a ball knocked out, like just so they like have the fear put into them. Because I feel like everyone's a little too relaxed. And the first time you get that ball smacked out, it's like okay, now I can't. So I'd rather have that fear put into you in like training camp in the preseason, not during a real game. So
have been doing it the last couple of days. I mean, yesterday they were just punching that ball out left and right, and I feel like the offensive players weren't really expecting it much. And yeah, today it felt like a here we go again type thing because that was the first play of the game. Like Michael Penix goes deep, like hits a home run to Ray McLeod, who just like, toasts his man. And I'm like, all right, it's Ray McLeod. He's obviously going to go like all the way. He's going to like score a touchdown. But he gets chased down masterfully. Now I want to give credit where it's due. It was number 39, Keith Taylor.
Yeah. Former Kansas City Chiefs special teams ace. Keith Taylor.
And he chases Ray McLeod down, which isn't easy to do, and he strips him from behind. I think Taylor got hurt on the play, but yeah, that was a great play. But then from there on, the mental mistakes kind of ceased by the defenders. Penix went 13 of 16 today. 6 of those 13 passes went 10 plus yards down the field, and by 10 plus, I don't mean like exactly 10. Like, I mean some of those were like deep, like 20 yards, 30 yards. Out of his 3 incompletions, 2 were home run shots. 1 intended for Kaderil Hodge. 1 I think was intended for McLeod. The other one was a play where Kyle Pitts got tangled up with Natrone Brooks, who was right on his hip. The refs didn't call a flag. Both guys went down. It was just a tangling of the feet, and I'm just going to chalk it up to good coverage by Natrone Brooks. But yeah, I mean, Penix, he's slinging it. Like he is not afraid to throw that ball deep, and he has a beautiful deep ball. Like it's
special.
He's not gonna hit the home run every time, but it's gonna be special when it's gonna be a sight to see when he does connect. In real games, and he's like the anti-Ritter, like from a couple of years ago. Like he is. Kind of feels like he's going deep too much, like at this point in camp. Like right from day one, he was like, all right, like we're gonna sling it, we're going all the way. And yeah, he was owning the second team defense, or owning the practice against the second team defense. Red zone drills 4 for 4, 3 touchdowns. All of the touchdowns were 10 plus yards. And today was just sort of the exact sort of day that you wanted to see from offense and defense, because the first team offense dominated the second team defense, and then it was the first team defense. Like we talked at the top about how many sacks there were. There were like quite a few. I think all of them came against the second team offensive line.
Most, yeah,
Um,
if not all.
and poor Kirk Cousins was sort of under pressure like all day. Kirk Cousins did not have a great day. Like overall, I had him at 6 of 10. A lot of those were dink and dunk passes, but yeah, I mean the defense was in his face. And one name we didn't even talk about, yet was Arnold Ebiketie. I had him at 2 sacks today.
Yeah,
He
Katie was
was
great. Yeah,
Yeah, he was in the backfield. He was wreaking havoc. I think he got a sack on one play. The play after stopping a run for like no gain. Like Arnold Ebiketie you saw 17, everywhere out there, just like doing exactly what you are hoping from him. And he's one of those guys where this year kind of feels like a make or break for him. He was a former second round pick, hasn't really lived up to the expectations so far. What we've seen flashes here and there from him, but we've never really seen him put it all together. And it kind of feels like, all right, you sort of have the support, like you have the other edge guys around you. It's not just you and then like a complete clear fall off outside of you. And this sort of feels like a year where if the Falcons can really get a breakout from Arnold Ebiketie, it's gonna be huge in their pursuit of finally winning this division.
yeah. Because I mean, if Ebiketie can be what you hope, you have got Leonard Floyd, who you can depend on for 6 to 8 sacks. It's just what he does. Um, Apparently we have Khalid Kareem, so who could, I mean, it seems like be a valuable player in the rotation as well. Would expect him because of he's big, like he has very good length, and he's just a bigger body. So he might play more on base downs would be my guess, in favor of guys like Ebiketie and Floyd. And then of course, the 2 first round picks, who I think the best case scenario obviously is that both James Pearce and Jalen Walker are immediately like great players, but the more likely scenario is that one or both of them are going to need some acclimation time and probably should be rotational players to start. So I think with how the Falcons rotation looks right now, that we should be able to accomplish that. We shouldn't need to throw those guys to the wolves immediately. They should have plenty of time to warm up, get used to the NFL competition, and like honestly be deployed in really advantageous positions where we can unleash fresh James Pearce and Jalen Walker on third downs or like in crucial moments and let them pin their ears back and do what we know they can do instead of trying to have them, dusted up in the run game all the time, which, is where both of those guys are a little bit less experienced. So I'm really excited about that edge room. I think, even before we saw all the stuff from Khalid Kareem, it's very exciting. So um, it's a great room. I like, and it's been a long time since I've felt confident about more than like one or two people in the Falcons edge rushing room at a time. Even last year, I was like, well, I like Arnold Ebiketie, but like, and we were obviously excited about Matt Judon when he joined, but like before Matt Judon got here, people don't. I don't know if you guys remember, like we were like, well, I'm pretty concerned about the edge rush depth. Like, what are we like? Because like Evie Katie maybe can do something, but like what and obviously the Falcons agreed because they went out and got Matt Judon, which did not work out. But I'm not going to try to be a revisionist on that one. I think we were all really excited to get Matt Judon in here. So yeah, but
And Nico, you're right. Like we shouldn't be celebrating too much about the second team offensive lineman not being good. But yeah, I mean, you can't really have it all. Like, someone's going to lose that battle. And right now it's the offensive line that's losing it against these starting edge guys. But at the same time, if a second string O lineman were dominating, we'd be worried about, oh,
yeah,
why are none of these starters getting any pressure? But yeah, I mean, look, I don't think it's a secret that the Falcons have a good a really good starting unit. And Ulbrich went as far to say that this is the best offensive line in football. And he says that, the defense has, it's a big thing for his defense to be able to practice against them day in and day out. And that's going to make them better. But then beyond that, it's like, Storm Norton, I really like as a swing tackle.
yep,
I'm comfortable with Storm Norton. outside of that, I'm not comfortable, and I'd be very scared if any of those interior offensive linemen went down to any injury, and that could be something that the team maybe looks at when it comes to final cuts, when it comes to possibly bringing someone in, before the season. Because yeah, I'm not a believer in Hinton. I'm not a believer in any of these backup guards or backup centers or anything. It's not going to be a comfortable thing. I mean, I know George asked about Jack Nelson. I think he was getting some run with the second teamers.
Yeah,
Or
when Caleb McGarry was out yesterday, he was definitely playing with the second team.
I mean, it's mostly with the third stringers. I wouldn't expect Jack Nelson to make the roster, just given the fact that you have Storm Norton slotted in as your swing. Nick Nash had the touchdown that was actually a sack from Rook. So I mean, yeah, Nick Nash seems to have gotten like a little bit of a promotion where he's now playing with that Kirk Cousins unit a little
Mhm.
bit. Kirk Cousins' last pass was intended for Nick Nash as well, and
Yeah.
it was batted down by Mike Hughes at the goal line. So yeah, I mean Nick Nash is working his way up a little bit 3 days in. So yeah, that's the update on those guys.
Yeah, yeah. David Sills had another catch from Cousins. I think he's definitely Cousins' favorite guy. But yeah, like you said, I think the defense has today definitely got the better of the second string, but the first string was not slowed down much, and especially in the red zone with Penix, like he was just dealing. Like the first series, they got a little bit slowed down. I think Bijan, there was a good run stop. Like they got 4 yards on a Bijan carry to open the first series from like they started about the 10 yard line, 12 yard line, something like that. So Bijan picked up 4 yards on like an outside zone play, looked good. And that there's not really like yards after contact here, so like it's always possible like Bijan just breaks a tackle or something and gets more yardage. But for it's basically two-hand touch, so he gets tagged down. After about 4 yards. Then on second down, the defense is all over him. So they only really pick up one. So now we're looking at 3rd and 5, and that's when Penix delivers the first touchdown. Then like the next series, it's just like immediately Drake London 10 yard touchdown on first down, which you love to see. But I liked, like, honestly, I think I was more impressed by the 3rd and 5 because the pressure's on, right? Like first and 10 or first and goal basically from the 10. It's like, all right, we got 3 plays. We can take some chances here. 3rd and 5 is like, okay, we got to have it, right? Because we're kind of too far to really want to do a 4th and goal. I mean, they probably would have in this scenario, obviously, but like, you need to be closer. But if you want to throw it, you're gonna have to risk, maybe not being close enough to go for it. But yeah, I love that third down touchdowns. Like, I'd prefer to get them earlier, obviously, but I did love like just the mental side of that, like not phased by third down, go out there, deliver. And he was spreading the ball around too. Like you said, it was like 3 different targets in the red zone that he hit for touchdowns, and very impressed. And speaking of targets, while Kyle Pitts was not participating in that red zone session, it's why you're probably wondering like, oh, why didn't Pitts get target? He wasn't playing during that red zone session. He was playing in like the early team session. They're clearly doing some kind of snap management with him, but early on, like Pitts got 3 targets and caught 2 of them and looked good. And I think it's serious. Like Penix actually does like throwing the ball to Kyle Pitts. I think it's not like a trope. It's not a joke, and it's not like he's forcing it either. Like Pitts has typically been open. Like Pitts is open, and Penix is looking for him. So that's I know a very positive development for anyone who's pulling for Kyle Pitts, which should be everyone. It should be everyone in here for the record. We gained nothing from Kyle Pitts not being good this year. Okay, but I mean, yeah, Kyle Pitts. That's 2 days now, and yesterday he didn't participate much in team stuff, but that's 2 team sessions where he's been one of Penix's top targets.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's yeah, I think after that Ray McLeod like catch fumble, the next 3 passes all went to Kyle Pitts, like one after the other. The first one was the one where he got tangled up with Brooks, and it didn't matter because like yeah, and you could say that it was Pitts' fault because he didn't get enough separation, but Penix went right back to him, like second time, third time. Now That's a very veteran quality we've seen out of Penix now 2 days in a row. Or yesterday, Drake London had, his struggles, had his fumbles, had his drop, and Penix kept going back to him, and he did the same thing with Michael Penix today, or excuse me, with Kyle Pitts today. But yeah, like you said, Pitts worked on that initial scrimmage session, and then he wasn't out there for that session against the ones for that red zone session. A name to watch to make this roster as a tight end 3 right now is Tegan Quintoriano. So he is the tight end that's benefiting a little bit from Kyle Pitts missing some of this time, because he's out there working with the ones. He got some on day one. He got a couple catches from Kirk Cousins. I think he was targeted, or I think he caught a pass today. I'm
I
not
think
entirely
so.
sure.
Yeah, it wasn't like anything super special, but he did catch it. And yeah, like you said, I think he's been the tight end 3 essentially, pretty much since
big
camp
thing is
opened. So
the big thing is he is getting like the snaps with the Penix unit when Pitts is now. I mean, we know Pitts is slotted in as tight end 1. Charlie Warner is going to be tight end 2, and I mean right now Tegan Quintoriano seems to have a very firm hold of that tight end 3 spot.
yeah, I like him. Catoriano, I think is interesting. A guy that was a fifth round pick, had a little bit of production and then has dealt with injuries. So that's just kind of been the story for him. Is that he hasn't been able to stay healthy, but talented enough to be a relatively early day 3 pick that just needed some seasoning. Good size. So I think he's definitely the favorite for tight end 3 right now. And so he's definitely gonna be on my roster, my next roster projection. Um, let's see. I know we had some questions in the chat. Someone asked about Simeon Barrow. Unfortunately, the only thing I remembered from Simeon Barrow today was an offsides. But yeah, he's been with the third team, and like those guys just don't get very many opportunities in team session, right? Because everyone, of course, is watching the first, second team during the split stuff, and when they all come together, they do give like the third team like a few plays. Like we got a couple of Easton Stick plays. Like it was hilarious. It's like Easton Stick comes on the field, with like, and the Darude Sandstorm just starts like blaring out of the speakers. Like the second Easton Stick takes the field, it's like, man, they're really trying to get the crowd like hyped up for Easton Stick, and he immediately like completed a touchdown or something like that. I think so. Shout out to Easton Stick,
Past
but
Nick Nash, like
yeah,
like they're another Nick Nash highlight, but yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. He's like I think I talked about it on the show. Either I talked about it on the show or off it, like after we stopped going live last night. But yeah, the third stringers go out there, and it's like, all right, let me gather my notes and let me like still like go through like what I just saw with the guys who are actually gonna probably be on the roster. But yeah, I know it's not the greatest journalistic stuff, but trust me, I'm not the only one. It's like Easton Stick and those guys go out there, and like the media guys are, oh, so hey, like how are you doing?
yeah, no disrespect intended, but yeah, that especially like today where there was a lot of notes to compile. I don't blame you one bit. So let's see what else we got.
Got the kicker battle.
Yeah, we're gonna do the kicker battle. That's definitely what I want to end on, because I know you guys, the sickos that are still here after an hour, definitely want kicker updates.
Oh, they're not the only ones. Like I have been
It's
getting
been all day.
requests
Yeah.
on social media like for days. It's like day
Hmm.
one, day two. It's like, what about the kickers? What about
Yeah.
the kickers? And it's like up until today, it's like, all right, they're not. The kickers aren't in front of us. Like they're not like doing anything with the kickers. But today they did have the battle. But yeah,
Yep.
we'll get to
Yeah.
that.
No, we're gonna give you guys an update on the hashtag conspiracy. So, which is the title we crowned at the fan gathering. So Falcons 5897 asks about Kobe Bryant. He's on the NFI non-football injury list, and we haven't seen him or heard anything other than that. My guess is that he injured himself training, which is what a lot of the time guys are on the NFI list is what happens. So obviously he needs to be here soon. Because I think a lot of the Lamar Jackson and Natrone Brooks snaps, could have been going to him potentially, and he's not getting that opportunity. So he needs to get here soon, definitely, if he wants to make this roster. Um,
I know Kobe is one of those like beloved darlings of the UDFAs, like by the fan base, and I don't think I've ever seen a UDFA more hyped up than Kobe Bryant has been this off season. Um, but yeah, I don't care like who you are. Like he was not drafted. And if he does not, like you said, get here soon and start practicing soon, he's not going to make this roster. And injury or not, that's just sort of the way this works because the longer he's out, the more of a gap there's going to be to close between him and a guy like a Natrone Brooks, a guy like a Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, yeah. And Gedix boy says that he is sick. I would believe that. Like he might just be sick. So hopefully he'll feel better soon. If that's the case, that probably be, obviously we don't want him to be sick. But if it's just him getting over an illness that I'm sure the team doesn't want him spreading to anybody, then hopefully that means he'll be back soon. Armand Singh asks when the Falcons put on pads. Tuesday. That'll be the first day in pads. And then Ghost Up 6 asks, how DJ Shark do, even though it's only day 2. He's not taking part in any team yet, because presumably he needs to learn the playbook. He's only been here for 2 days, so he's been out there doing drills and stuff. I mean, I think he looks healthy. I think he looks legit. But yeah, no team stuff yet, so we'll see how that develops. But the conspiracy, the kicker competition. We had the first shots fired by Lenny Krieg today. Perfect 5 of 5. And looked pretty impressive during as well. Whereas Koo, I think his kicks looked good except for the long one, which was definitely a shank. Like it was not close. Like it was way off. And then I think it caught a gust of wind at the end as well. So that one was ugly, but that was clearly just a shank. So I think Koo was 4 of 5 and Krieg was 5 of 5. So.
Yeah, when you look at the numbers, like, all right, 4 of 5, 5 of 5, it's like, all right, they're like right there. But I don't think that tells the whole story of just how impressive Lenny Krieg was today. Like, they obviously started out like they started out like close to like further. It's like, all right, like, Koo nails his 30-yarder and then they like go to like 38, 39. And then like after that, so Koo makes the first couple and then I don't even think it was a full 50. I think I saw like the holder at the 38-yard line, which would be a 48-yard kick because you go, the 38 plus the 10. Shank like straight, like wide right, like not even close. And then from there, I don't think that like he did not go like further. Like they let him take the next 2 kicks like closer in. They started getting closer and closer. Whereas Krieg, first 2 makes, third one from the exact same spot that like Koo made it from, and drills it, drills it, and then
they were all drilled. They're perfect.
Yeah, they were all drilled, and then they go to 56 yards, and drills the 56-yarder, and then he goes a little lower down to 50 yards, and the 50-yarder was the most impressive one. Like that last kick was the most impressive one, out of all of them because. 1, it was drilled right down the middle, and 2, like I feel like that kick would have been good from like 70, like just like how much power was like behind it, and no, like this is not just like gonna be a comfortable. All right, well, Koo's been here, he's gonna like get this job. No, like the team really likes Lenny Krieg, and I feel like this is a legitimate battle, and right now Lenny Krieg. From what we've seen, like in media, from what the media has been able to see and what they've like put in front of us, Lenny Krieg has taken the lead. He started out strong. Like I do not think Krieg could have possibly made a better first impression than today.
Yeah.
And I mean, with Younghoe Koo, look, we know he had a really, really bad season last year. After the first 4 weeks, or he was perfect through the Saints game. After the Saints game, I think he had like a 62% like kick conversion rate, field goal conversion rate, which not only was the worst in the league, but I think that if you extrapolate that across a full season, that would have been the worst since 2005. And I mean, Koo had the most missed field goals last year. I wasn't looking too closely, but I did not see a change in stance. it looks like Koo was in the same stance as he was last season. I know a lot of people are very curious about like what the stance is looking like. But Younghoe Koo, like for all the struggles, he's also the fifth highest cap hit among all kickers this season. Only Myers, Fairbairn, Gano, and Will Lutz are higher cap hits. And if Lenny Krieg can not even if Lenny Krieg doesn't like blitz in front of him, if he and Lenny Krieg are like about the same, I mean, if fiscally, financially, it makes more sense to go with the super cheaper option, the cheaper 22-year-old in Lenny Krieg, than to keep that $5.5 million cap hit with Younghoe Koo. But it's still very early. That battle is going to rage on through the preseason, and I don't think anything of that battle is going to be decided until after the preseason.
Yeah. It it's definitely important to note a couple of things, which is like one, the Falcons do really like Young Wei Koo, and I think they will give him quite a bit of rope. But the fact that they didn't move on from him already is kind of like a big, like already they're doing him a solid. Um, the other thing to keep in mind is that Lenny Krieg hasn't kicked in the NFL before. So, I think they're not really going to make any decisions until we see him kick at least in the preseason, right? We need to see him do it in an actual game environment with the pressure on. Because it's a different thing. Part of Koo
Of course,
and
yeah.
his ability is obviously his mental fortitude, which has been one of his best attributes. Lenny Krieg, I think it's pretty clear, has the stronger leg. There's no doubt about that. But you got to be able to hit it through the uprights. And so far, Lenny Krieg has shown accuracy as well. So we'll see if he can convert that to real games. And then the other side of the coin is the financial piece, which is another benefit to Lenny Krieg. They signed him to a 2-year contract. So this was more than a tryout. They didn't have to. It was a 3-year deal, actually. It's through 2027. I thought it was a 2-year. But so, yeah, I mean, this is more than a tryout. This is like, if you make this team, he's 23 years old, and they have him under contract at about like 1 million per for the next 3 years. And look, I mean, there's no way to get around it. Younghoe Koo's under contract this year at 5.5 million, and 5.75 million next year. And if they were to move on from Koo, they would save over 4 million in cap right now, which they don't necessarily need it right this second. But anything they don't spend this year gets to roll over to next year, and next year they are going to want the money to spend. So I think Koo has to like win this battle. He can't just coast through camp, because if Krieg looks too good, the Falcons risk losing him. So this could be, Koo's only 20, or Koo's only 31, so it's not like they're really looking to move on. It's just like, if he doesn't solidify himself as the kicker, and Krieg looked like he did today throughout camp and preseason, I feel like they can't afford to let Krieg go, which puts you in a very difficult situation with Koo, where you'd prefer to let him get into the season and prove that he can still do it. But you can't really carry two kickers. I mean,
No, absolutely.
um, so it's just it's gonna put a lot, like, if Lenny Krieg looks like this throughout camp and preseason, the Falcons are gonna have a really tough decision on their hands. And like, obviously, if Koo also looks great, then they're probably just gonna have to stick with Koo. But
I
I don't envy them that decision. That's for sure.
yeah, I would. I mean, obviously, we have to see what happens in the preseason. Lenny Krieg's contract, you alluded to it, it's excellent for the team. Yeah, it's a 3-year deal, but only $10,000 of it is guaranteed. So if they cut him today, it's a $10,000 at cap, which is literal pennies when it comes to the NFL salary cap. But I mean, if Krieg wins this battle, like, you're gonna have him less than a million this year, a mil next year, 1.1 million in 27, and then he's a restricted free agent after that. So I mean, you can have him long term under a very, very team friendly contracts, team friendly cap hits. Um, Look, I'm of the mindset where of course I respect what Koo's done, but I think last year was sort of had last year not happened, then it's like, of course, like, you're going into the season with Young Wei Koo. It is what it is. But after last season, like you said, they are giving him like a lot of leeway, a long leash. But part of that long leash is the fact that he's still here. Like some teams would have already moved. I feel like the team would have already moved on from him, if not for what he had done previously.
Yeah.
But I feel like if Krieg and I'm of the opposite mindset. I think if Krieg and Koo are about the same, or if they're both very good throughout like preseason, throughout like I mean mostly preseason. Like obviously training camp's fine, but preseason is when the live reps are happening, and when guys are actually rushing at you trying to block the kick. I feel like if they have both of them, and if they're both very good, I think this prudent move would be to run with Lenny Krieg, just because, yeah, I mean, you have a similar quality like kicker in that case, who has a stronger leg, and who's also going to cost you what, damn near $5 million less. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it becomes a math equation at that point.
Right. I do wonder if there could be, if both guys look really good, if a trade market could emerge for Koo, given that there are several teams I think that have very unsettled kicking spots, and preseason's probably going to show that some of these guys can't hack it, right? Or they're falling off age wise. So if Koo has a great preseason, we're not talking big picks here, guys. Maybe a fifth, more likely like a sixth or something. But like,
For a kicker, like if
I
you
mean,
can
you
get
can,
it.
but yeah, more likely a sixth or something like that, right? And if teams are desperate enough, but the thing that makes that difficult is he's making a lot of money too. So, it just depends on the state of the NFL. So, yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's definitely something to watch, because I think Krieg was better than I expected, certainly today. I think I expected Krieg to not solidify how serious his contention for the roster was right away. But we saw it today, so I think that's pretty serious. And then we got one last question from George Costanza with the $2, saying Aaron Friedman's favorite Falcon watch is Felipe Franks making the 53. I think Felipe Franks is definitely behind Tegan Cotoriano right now. So he's going to have to get past Tegan, would be my thought. And I think that's unlikely. But we do know Felipe Franks as a big special teams guy. So, maybe that's his path. So
I mean, he caught a pass. Yeah, he got the first pass of practice yesterday in 11 on 11. So
yeah.
he's out there. He's wearing Roddy White's 84. Yeah, so Felipe's definitely out there. It's a Falcons tradition to see Felipe Franks in training camp.
Yep. It feels like old times. We got Felipe Franks back out there. But yeah, Adnan, anything else you want to touch on from today before we wrap up?
No, it was pretty extensive. It was a very, very long. I mean, yeah, very long, very eventful practice today. And I mean, yeah, it was a long, eventful show today, and tomorrow off day. Thankfully, because it was it was a very jam-packed weekend.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday the pads come on. So yeah, it'll be very. I mean that's the thing fans can't wait for. Like the ramp up is done. Like they've gone through their shorts, t-shirt, like all that stuff, and Tuesday's the day. Like Tuesday is when the men are separated from the boys, so to speak, and hopefully some cloud cover on Tuesday as well, because it's been hot. Like it has been so hot these past few days, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Are we in August? No, we're not in August yet on Tuesday. I was like, if the calendar
Almost.
shifts to August,
Yeah.
maybe that late July sun will. Yeah, the August sun is still brutal too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday's the 31st.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's we got a ways to go. But it's an exciting time, and Michael Scott, shout out to Michael Scott for coming out last night as well, saying that apparently Kobe Bryant was out signing autographs after practice today. So to me, I mean, hopefully that means that he's about to be activated. That would be great. So yeah, that would be great, Michael. I'd love to hear that. So I certainly hope that he's ready to go or close to it. Um, but yeah, guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate everyone hanging out. Welcome back, George. Missed you. Welcome back, everybody else too. If you're just tuning in for the first time, it's training camp season and real football's right around the corner. So we will get you covered all through that. My last day will be Tuesday, and there won't be a show Tuesday because I have to go straight from practice to the airport. But we will be back to our usual live schedule on Wednesday, doing a show there, covering all the great stuff that we saw, hopefully on Tuesday. And yeah, Adnan will be there Thursday and then be back for the joint practices after that. Um,
Yeah, and Rod, I don't know what I was looking at. Thursday is the 31st. I
oh,
was
okay.
looking at Thursday practice, which is my last one. But yeah, Tuesday is the 29th.
Okay. Yes. We got the dates down.
We got the dates down. Yeah,
We got
well,
it. We got
you
it.
know,
Uh,
it's been a long weekend.
it's
It's been a
been
very,
busy.
very long.
Yeah, and shout out to everybody. We were out at Firemaker until like 11:30. So, shout out to everybody for coming out and hanging out. It was a lot of fun. Um, but guys, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Really helps us out. Leave that 5-star review in your podcast platform of choice. If you want to support the show, you can do so on Patreon, patreon.com/Falcoholic Live, or the YouTube channel memberships. Falcons fantasy leagues here going to be starting up soon, so get in on that if you want. We love to play with you guys. Anna and I will be in doing a couple of those leagues as usual. So looking forward to seeing who steps up to challenge this year. And yeah, we'll be back Tuesday at camp to give you guys the live coverage, and then it'll be on to Adnan on Thursday. And like I said, then some joint practices, and then right after that, first preseason game, where we will be hosting our live watch party. Definitely not play-by-play. It's a watch party, guys. So we'll be doing that as well, and then we'll be on into the thick of it, and be literally less than a month away from real live NFL Week 1 action. So really enjoyed hanging out with you guys tonight. Thanks to everyone for coming out, hanging out at Firemaker last night, and we will see you guys soon for our next live on Wednesday. So until then, have a great night. Thanks again to Adnan Ikic, Say Which Way, for hosting with me and helping tackle all this coverage. I'm Kevin Knight of Falcoholic Kevin, and we will be back real soon for more Falcons training camp coverage here on the Falcoholic Live. Thanks again, folks. See ya.